Nancy Elise here at Bowman Library with a whole new middle grade book spotlight. So for this week, we are exploring some novels in verse as it's April. It's National Poetry Month. So, well, some people say poetry's not for them. A novel in verse is a perfect exception for that, because what this is a fiction book told in poetry format. So you're reading poetry while you're reading an amazing story. You don't even realize you're reading poetry. So you can celebrate this month with everyone else who loves poetry. Now, with a novel in verse, a lot of times they tend to be on the more historical genre side. So I will tell you this, a good chunk of the ones we have do have an historical fiction aspect, but we do have some others that don't. So let's get started. Our first one is Knockout. Levi has some problems. He sometimes has trouble breathing due to some health issues from when he was younger, but now also his parents are divorced, his older brother is never around, and now his best friend has a new friend who spends all of her time with this new friend and not with Levi. So when Levi discovers boxing and he finds something that he actually enjoys to do, and he starts to fall in love with it, and he's actually pretty good with it, he can't help but start to push himself harder. And as he's pushing himself harder, he goes into the ring for practice one day and he ends up getting injured. But he doesn't want to slow down, and he can't help but wonder, is him getting injured maybe one of the best things that's happened to him, because maybe this is going to help that health issue he has from when he's younger, that's plagued him this whole time. And he doesn't know how to stop, though, especially because he loves it. This is his outlet. Now, this story is all about finding your place, finding your passions. You'll be along for this journey with Levi. You may even find yourself inspired to try something new, learn something new, get inspired by something. This is Knockout. A Slip of a Girl. So Anna's living with her large family in Ireland in the 1880s. She's the middle sibling. Her older brothers have left to go to America to make a better life for themselves, because it is not too hot in Ireland at the moment. This is a true thing. Due to a series of events, there's been multiple famines in which the potato crop, the biggest thing they would grow in Ireland, would get destroyed. There'd be a blight, insects would eat it, all sorts of stuff. Here we are in the 1880s, and once again, the potato crop has been destroyed. Because of that, the family has nothing to grow, they have nothing to sell, they have no money, and the rent is due. And they can't pay it. Now, things just get even worse when Anna's mother gets super sick. They don't have the money to get her better. Unfortunately, she passes away, and Anna is then left by herself to take care of her baby sister, especially as she promised her mom that she would do that. Now, when Anna gets upset, she makes a decision that forces her to run away, because if she doesn't run away, she's going to get arrested and she's going to be placed in jail. And what is going to happen to her sister? So, Anna then runs away with her baby sister, and Anna's going to need to figure out how to survive on her own while trying to make their way to an aunt's house where hopefully there will be safety. This is based on the author's great-great-grandmother, and you will be along for this adventure and this survival story on so many different levels. And you'll be asking yourself, as you read the story, what would you do if you were in Anna's situation? From the start, how would you handle all of this? This is A Slip of a Girl. Seraphinas Promise. 11-year-old Seraphina lives in Haiti. She dreams of becoming a doctor. She loves her family. They work hard, but life is also hard for them. They're in the country. They're in the rural part. Food and water sometimes can be scarce, but they make the best of it. Seraphina is sent to find a doctor, though, when her baby brother becomes deathly ill. As she's making her way to find this doctor, and this really happened, there's this humongous earth-shattering earthquake that happens that reduces much of the country to rubble. And all of a sudden, the food and water that were scarce, they're even harder to find. There's no electricity, even though there wasn't a lot to begin with. And Serafina's father is buried under rubble. They don't even know if he is alive. All the while, Serafina's baby brother is still sick. She's trying to find a doctor, and they weren't easy to find to begin with. You throw an earthquake in there, and yeah. So while there are some moments of joy in this story, there's also some sad moments in it, but it is a realistic look at what happened in Haiti and how it was to live in Haiti at that time. And Serafina promises that she is going to make her dreams come true, no matter what it's going to take. So again, this is based on true stories in Haiti, including the destructive earthquake, but this is one that will open your eyes to how it's like to live in other places, but also how everyone is the same no matter where they are, what situations they're in, and it's totally safe and awesome to dream. This is Seraphinas Promise. When Winter Robeson came, so it's August 1965, and Winter Robeson is sent from Mississippi to go visit his family that's living in Los Angeles. Now, his cousin Eden, who's a year younger than him, she is super excited to see him because her family used to live in Mississippi and she would see Winter all the time. Just 2 years ago, though, her family made the move from their town in Mississippi to Los Angeles. And she has all sorts of plans for their 2 weeks together. When Winter arrives, though, he quickly realizes that things are extremely different in Los Angeles than they are in his hometown. Because it's there, he's never known a life outside of racial segregation. In Los Angeles, he's allowed to sit wherever he wants on the bus. He's allowed to eat wherever he wants to eat. Like, these are things he cannot do in his hometown. Winter, though, also has another ulterior motive for coming. He's gotten word that his father, who he hasn't seen in 10 years, lives in Los Angeles, and he wants to find his missing father. He finally wants to make this connection again. It's while him and Eden are trying to solve this mystery, trying to find his dad, that things come to a boiling point in their neighborhood. And the residents there are fed up with how they're being treated by the police, and they decide they're going to do something about it. And it may stop everything in its tracks. This historical novel in verse is based on true events. These are true things that happened in this Watts neighborhood outside of Los Angeles in 1965, and is one that you'll be along with both Winter and Eden as they both see the events in a different light, based on their experiences and their backgrounds, but it also shows that you can see the world differently, but still also learn from one another. This is When Winter Robeson Came. Bluebirds. So starting in the late 1580s, you'll be along for the journey with Alice, who is part of this group of Europeans who's making their way to the New World, hopefully in Virginia. It is on their journey there, though, that their boat gets kind of sidetracked and they end up on the island of Roanoke, and that's where some tensions come into play. Now, there's already the tribe of Roanoke that lives there. They've had some pretty bad experience already with other colonists trying to make their way to the New World, and they are having none of this. Soon it quickly leads to some violence. Alice is the only girl on this expedition. She has no one else to talk to. One day when she's out kind of exploring, she comes across this other girl who's living on the island already. Her name is Kimi, and she and Kimi kind of start this tenuous friendship just because they're girls about the same age, but they start to kind of realize they have their own problems and grievances. Alice doesn't like how she's being treated, being a girl in this group, and Kimi, she's not a big fan of what's going on with the colonists coming here because the previous group killed her dad, and then not only did they kill her dad, they brought diseases with them that ended up killing her sister. You'll be along for the journey as these two girls make this friendship, and all of a sudden, before they know it, this friendship starts to grow, and they soon start to learn they have more in common than what they ever thought, and they soon become an example for everyone to follow. This is loosely based on a true story. This novel in verse takes a deep look at the meaning of friendship and how it can change others around you for the better and how it can make a difference. This is Bluebirds. And our last one for today is Garfields Choice. Garvey is in middle school and is just trying to survive, but that's easier said than done, especially when you're a little overweight and you're not athletic, which is all the things his fathers wish he wasn't. You know, he wants this athletic son. It doesn't also help that his older sister is everything he is not, and she is the perfect example in the family for him to try to strive for. Garvey's best friend Joe decides that Garvey needs to try new things. You know, him trying to please his dad isn't really working out for anyone. So Joe encourages him to try something new. And soon Garvey realizes he has this talent for singing. So taking advantage of that, Joe decides, maybe you should join choir. So Garvey does. He joins the school choir. Soon he gets a solo in the upcoming concert, and Garvey finds that he has more confidence than ever. Now he can take on his bullies at school and try to make his dad understand who he is. This amazing novel and verse will have you cheering for Garvey every step of the way, encourage you to maybe get outside your comfort zone, try something new. It might work out great. It may not, but hey, you don't know until you try. This is Garfields Choice. So these are the 6 of the novels and verse that we have here at the library. I encourage you to come out. Check out one of them. Try something new if you've never read a novel and verse before. Or maybe explore a type of novel and verse you haven't read. Maybe you like a historical. Maybe you want to try something that's not historical. Whatever it is, check out one of these, or we have other novels and verse that we are more than happy to help you find. I hope you tune back next week when we have a whole new middle grade book spotlight, and I hope you have an amazing week.